The US dollar has gotten weaker against a bunch of other currencies, so let's talk about it. One metric you should be paying attention to all the time is called the DXY. That measures the strength of the dollar, and you could see just in the past few days, it dropped like a lead weight. The DXY measures the US dollar against a basket of other widely traded currencies like the British pound, the euro, the Canadian dollar, the Japanese yen. Take a look at my list of currencies. You could see how the dollar went down, but almost every other major currency went up aside from the Japanese yen and the Canadian dollar. Even though the Japanese yen did go down a bit today, you could see that it has been rising steadily against the US dollar since the beginning of 2025. Reason why is they've been raising interest rates, which have been historically around 0 or 0.25%. Because of that, it became very easy and cheap to borrow Japanese yen, so American firms and a whole bunch of other firms around the world would take these very generous Japanese loans, and then they would buy more speculative assets like stocks or even just bonds, and they would get a higher interest rate or a higher rate of return. Because a lot of these Japanese loans were highly leveraged, that means when the value of the yen goes up, there's a chance that these people who leveraged can lose their entire investment, so they have to sell a bunch of their other assets quickly to cover. The Russian ruble as well has been rising steadily against the dollar since 2025, but that's a bad thing too. Russia says the official inflation rate is about 10%, but other sources outside the country suggest it's between 15 to 20%. And interest rates in Russia aren't 0.5% like they are in Japan. They're closer to 20%. A stronger currency is generally good for exports, but Russia's main exporting partner is China, India, a bunch of other countries, and they are bending Russia over a barrel for a lot of discounts, so this isn't going to affect them so adversely as it will Russia. Very high interest rates are also internally bad for Russians because it makes things much more difficult to purchase. Now, China's currency in yuan is kind of in an economic limbo because their economy is suffering a lot of deflationary pressure. Now, generally, if you're facing deflationary pressure, you want to lower interest rates and maybe print a lot of your currency because you want money to keep flowing. But if the value of the currency gets too low, then it affects China's ability to import. So this is a bit of a pickle. Now, Canada and Mexico are both witnessing a huge loss in the value of their currency because of their adversarial relationship with America, which pretty much has been originating from the United States. Because these two currencies are very economically tied to the United States, and any threat of their economic relationship can lead to a lot of negative speculation, especially with the value of their money. Let's take a look at the euro, which has been trashing the dollar, along with the British pound, as you can see. These two major economic powers have lowered interest rates, which means the value of their currency is generally supposed to go down to the dollar, but they have been rising steadily. And the reason is, for now, is a lack of economic trust with the United States. Now, Deutsche Bank has said that tariffs are threatening the dollar's safe haven status. Since the US dollar became the world's reserve currency after World War II, it was seen as the ultimate safe haven asset. So whenever there was a great deal of economic instability worldwide or even internal, people would just flock to the dollar and buy, of course, a bunch of US treasuries. Now, why it's a bit understandable for the US to wage the trade war against China, the fact that we are waging the same kind of trade war against our top trading partners is a bit of a mystery, and it is causing a lot of these historic allies and trading partners to start shifting their safe havens over to other currencies. So investors all over the world are now flocking to the next best thing compared to the US dollar, which is the British pound and the euro. It is the loss of economic trust that is causing this quick trend downward in the strength of the dollar. Is that all bad for the US economy? Not necessarily. Like I've said before, if a currency weakens, it allows the people inside that country to purchase products a little bit easier because money flows. Usually, interest rates start to drop. When interest rates drop, banks and other financial institutions are more willing to lend out money. That means more money flows freely in the economy, and we could see a rise in wages and a whole bunch of other economically productive measures. It also means that our exports have more room to grow because our products become cheaper. If this trend continues and it goes down too far, then it really hurts our ability to import, and we are the world's #1 import, so that can actually halt a lot of our economic progress. And if we continue to lose a lot of diplomatic, economic, and military trust with our top allies and trading partners, then we lose several $100 billion of foreign direct investment every year from these countries. If we lose that foreign direct investment, we lose a lot of manufacturing, we lose a lot of innovation. It will hurt us, even to the regular person. Now, will this lead to the collapse and destruction of the US dollar? I don't think so. There's never been a currency as powerful as the US dollar, and it takes a lot more than economic uncertainty to dethrone it. If we continue to see a drop in the yield of our main sources of debt, like the 10-year Treasury and the 2-year Treasury, that means it is still being flocked to by other institutions as a safe haven. It also means that the demand for US Treasuries starts to go up. It means the value of these Treasuries go up, and it means that hundreds of billions of dollars in unrealized losses get wiped out and may start turning into gains. So there are a lot of pros and cons to the weakening of the US dollar. We just need to understand the weight of both to see which will prevail. I am the Geo Husar, and we should all be paying attention to whether or not Japan is going to raise interest rates again this coming week. Thanks for watching. If you find the post I just made useful, educational, informative, please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube, but the strongest form of support that you can give me would be signing up for my Patreon. Thanks.